Welcome back to History in Minutes, the channel where we break down the biggest moments of the past in bite-sized stories. Today, we re-diving deep into one of the most brutal and world-changing events of the Middle Ages, the Mongol Conquest of Baghdad in 1258. Grab your helmets, and maybe a fainting couch, because this is a tale of empire-shattering destruction, political miscalculations, and a city that thought it was untouchable until it wasn't. Let's set the scene. It's the mid-13th century. Baghdad is not just any city. It's the glittering jewel of the Islamic world, the capital of the Abbasid Caliphate, and a hub of knowledge, culture, and religion. Imagine a metropolis where scholars pore over ancient texts from Greece, Persia, and India, where astronomers map the stars, doctors pioneer new medicines, and philosophers debate the meaning of life while poets pen verses that echo through centuries. The House of Wisdom alone houses tens of thousands of manuscripts. If knowledge was power, Baghdad was basically the Super Bowl champion, undefeated, and on home turf. They had libraries that would make Amazon look like a roadside bookstall. Baghdad wasn't just a city. It was the entire intellectual buffet, and everyone else was nibbling on crumbs. Enter Caliph al-Mustasim, the ruler of this grand city and empire. Now, here's where the story takes a turn from heroic defense to classic royal misjudgment. Al-Mustasim was more of a man of words and prayer than of war, surrounded by scholars and astrologers, because what's a ruler without some cosmic advice? He genuinely believed that the city's holiness and Allah's protection would make any Mongol threats fade away. When the Mongols sent envoys demanding surrender and tribute, his response was basically, "Thanks, but no thanks. We're good. You know, Baghdad, the city everyone loves? Yeah, that Baghdad. We're pretty confident our spiritual glow will repel any invaders. Also, we're really busy with poetry slams and philosophical debates, so maybe next century." He was basically the guy who, when a hurricane is coming, calmly explains that his house has excellent feng shui. Meanwhile, thousands of miles to the east, Hulagu Khan, grandson of the legendary Genghis Khan, was gearing up to make sure Baghdad's confidence was misplaced. Hulagu was no ordinary warlord. This guy was a master planner and ruthless commander tasked by his brother Monk, the Great Khan, with expanding Mongol power westward. His orders? Conquer the Muslim lands and leave no doubt who rules the world. And boy, did he take that seriously. Imagine if your boss told you to conquer the world, and you actually showed up for work the next day with a plan. Hulagu was that kind of guy. He wasn't about sending polite diplomatic notes. He was about sending 150,000 very angry men on horseback. Hulagu didn't just bring a big army. We're talking about roughly 150,000 Mongols, Turks, and allies, joined by Chinese and Persian siege engineers. Basically the medieval version of a special ops team, with some serious firepower in the form of trebuchets and catapults. If you thought the Mongols were just horseback warriors swinging swords and arrows, think again. These engineers were like the medieval version of hackers, breaking into defenses with precision machines. They were the Silicon Valley of destruction, meticulously planning how to take down the medieval internet, which, in this case, was city walls. They didn't just knock, they brought battering rams with rocket launchers. Okay, maybe not rocket launchers, but you get the idea. By January 1258, the Mongol horde had arrived at Baghdad's gates, and that's when the illusion of safety shattered. The city's walls, proud and imposing, built to keep out desert raiders, soon became nothing more than targets. Hulagu split his forces, sending Baiju Noyan to control the southern flank, while Kitbuka Noyan commanded the northern assault. These generals were known for their discipline and brutality. The Mongols weren't rushing in blindly. They methodically dug trenches, built siege ramps, and unleashed their mechanical monsters upon the city. It was less of a siege and more of a really well-organized, very destructive picnic. The Mongols, bless their methodical hearts, were all about efficiency, even when it came to utter annihilation. Inside the city, the mood was less prepare for war and more hope for a miracle. Al-Mustasim, perhaps influenced by his astrologers, failed to mobilize the city's defenses effectively. Reports suggest his commanders were either incompetent or unwilling to face the Mongol onslaught. The Caliph's misplaced confidence was a fatal mistake. It's like locking the door, but leaving the windows wide open, and then wondering why your stuff disappears. He was essentially telling his people, "Don't worry, guys, our vibes are too good for anything bad to happen." Meanwhile, outside, the Mongols were literally building a theme park of destruction. Baghdad's defenders were so unprepared. They probably thought the Mongols were just enthusiastic tourists looking for a really big group photo op. The Mongol siege lasted just a few weeks. The mighty walls crumbled under relentless bombardment. Gates that had once been impregnable were smashed. Mongol soldiers flooded into the city, spreading terror and destruction. Hulagu's forces showed no mercy. They slaughtered soldiers and civilians alike, sparing no one who resisted. If you were thinking of resisting, well, let's just say it wasn't a great career move. The Mongols had a very simple customer service policy: surrender or cease to exist. And they were really good at the second part. As for Caliph al-Mustasim, well, the Mongols captured him alive, which might have seemed like good news at the time. But Mongol customs dictated that spilling royal blood was bad luck. So rather than beheading or poisoning him, they wrapped him in a carpet and trampled him under horseshoes. Imagine going from sitting on a throne to being horse fodder because you refused to surrender. Not the best career move. It's like being told you can't have chocolate cake, but then they offer you a carpet and a stampede. What a way to go. Bet those astrologers didn't see that one coming. For 7 days, Baghdad was ransacked. The Mongols looted everything of value and destroyed what they couldn't carry. The House of Wisdom, that legendary library, was emptied of its priceless manuscripts, many thrown into the Tigris River, staining it with ink and blood. Scholars, poets, scientists, all were slaughtered or fled into obscurity. The city's population was decimated, with death toll estimates ranging from 100,000 to over 1 million. Let that sink in. The Tigris River literally ran black with ink and red with blood. Imagine a river of knowledge and life, suddenly becoming a river of tears and shattered dreams. It was less of a library cleansing and more of a bibliographical genocide. The fall of Baghdad was more than a military defeat. It was the symbolic end of the Abbasid Caliphate, which had ruled for over 500 years. The Islamic Golden Age, a period of unmatched cultural, scientific, and philosophical achievements, was effectively crushed under Mongol hoofs. All those advancements in medicine, astronomy, mathematics, poof, gone. Like someone hit the reset button on a whole civilization. But here's the kicker. The Mongols didn't just destroy, they changed the map. The power vacuum left by Baghdad's fall led to the rise of new powers, such as the Mamluks in Egypt, who would go on to halt Mongol expansion in the region. Eventually, centuries later, the Ottomans would rise to claim much of the former Abbasid territories. So, while Baghdad was being reduced to rubble, the rest of the world was basically getting a geopolitical shakeup. Hulagu Khan moved on from Baghdad, his reputation cemented as a conqueror without equal. His campaign remains one of the most devastating in history, a grim reminder that empires, no matter how mighty, can fall in a matter of weeks when pride meets unstoppable force. So next time you hear someone say, "That place is untouchable," just remember Baghdad in 1258. Because history loves to remind us that even the grandest empires can turn to dust, sometimes in the blink of an eye or under a Mongol horse's hoof. And always answer the door when the Mongols come knocking. You'll thank me later. Stay curious, history fanatics, and we'll see you next time for another bite-sized dive into the past. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, because you never know when another empire is about to dramatically crumble.